once again, here's another history moment from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Imagine yourself living in 1776 here in Philadelphia. You and your family decide you're going to take a trip. You want to go to Old City Tavern, maybe, which in those days was known for their turkey pot pies, their pheasant, or West Indian hot pepper hot soup. Or, let's say you decided to go to Tom Tavern, which was known for a hot beef sandwich at the time. Even back in 1776, hey, people like to have a good time. They like to eat. They like to enjoy their lives. This right in front of you is Independence Hall. Many buildings were built to look like it, but this is the actual building. If you hear a lot of noise in the background, it is largely because it's the height of the tourist season, and we're also in one of the largest cities in America. So you're going to hear a lot of people talking, a lot of people walking, a lot of people going to work, a lot of people eating. Things don't really change much between now and 1776, trust me. Well, anyway, let's talk about what happened here in 1776. Really, the story begins with a guy by the name of Peyton Randolph. He is the president of the First Continental Congress. They decide that they're going to try to have an olive branch petition. And this will hopefully remedy some of the strife and the tension between the people and the British government. Well, that goes nowhere. And Peyton Randolph, even though he was very, very, very famous and very, very well esteemed, he was an individual who was a rather large man and he had poor health. As a result, he didn't stay president of the Continental Congress for very long. He ends up getting sick, and it's passed over to Mr. Middleton. Mr. Middleton takes over the Continental Congress presidency, and then they hand it back to Peyton Randolph for a little while, but then Peyton Randolph dies. And then it falls on a guy by the name of John Hancock. Now, up until that time, all of the leaders of the Continental Congress happened to be from the South. John Hancock was the first one from the North. He was from Massachusetts. Well, it's decided that, unfortunately, you have shots ringing out due to a guy by the name of General Thomas Gage, Commander-in-Chief of the British Army here in North America. He actually was a pretty prickly character. General Thomas Gage was seen by many to be a moderate outwardly, but a lot of times, privately, he could be two-faced and he could be very, very, very heavy-handed and aggressive. And he's the reason why he had a battle at Lexington and Concord. He ends up shooting at the Continentals. He ends up sending word to the Parliament that this rebellion has to be put down with the strongest possible way. At the very same time, Thomas Gage is also conferring with Peyton Randolph, trying to keep him in line and to keep him on side with the crown. So you can kind of see how Thomas Gage was. On one hand, he's trying to control how people think, he's trying to be seen as a moderate, and on the other hand, he's trying to be very, very forceful. When he starts attacking the Continentals in Lexington and Concord and up around Boston, it becomes apparent that, hey, we've got to defend ourselves from His Majesty's forces. And it is in this building, Independence Hall, that the government decides to start an army and a navy. Now, the army was started in June of 1775. Interestingly enough, they did not have a head of an army at the beginning. John Hancock wanted to be the commander-in-chief of the army. Continental Congress says no. And they end up going for General George Washington. In December of that very same year, you start to see the formation of what is now the United States Navy, which is in December 1775. The head of the Navy at the time is an individual that's not quite as famous, named Essex Hopkins. But this is the beginning of the United States Armed Forces, and this is actually the beginning of the United States. Also, interestingly enough to note, the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy are older than the country. We don't declare independence until July the 2nd, 1776. The final draft is approved on July the 4th, 1776. However, over a year earlier, we start our Army, and about 7 months earlier, we start our Navy. So you could kind of see how things are a little bit different. We have an Army, a Navy, standing troops that are actually brought in to defend. And the Continental Congress even tells the colonies, hey, we want you to send this many soldiers to join the militia. For example, Pennsylvania had to send 6,000. Delaware, which was the lower counties of William Penn, had to send 600. New Jersey had to send about the same amount as Maryland. And all of this happens before there is even a Declaration of Independence, for the most part, to take firm hold as of yet. But things were working towards that. Anyway, thank you for your time, and feel free to subscribe.